This has been a hard day. Welcome to my home, anyway. I've been talking to my siblings, dealing with a lot of family issues, and it made me think about some of the greatest people I've got to know in other places. They're not family, and yet they're family. So I want to start the first story. I want to tell you about a guy I got to know in Indonesia. Back in 1983, I think it was, 100 years ago, it feels like. Ilik and his friend Agong and his other friend Paulus were students at ITB. It was the MIT of Indonesia, the Stanford of Indonesia. And how did I meet Ilik? So Sandy and I have grown up in Taiwan. We're old Taiwan hands. I mean, we're MKs from Taiwan, missionary kids, TCKs, third culture kids from Taiwan. And now we've taken this new assignment to work in Indonesia. And we're about 1 month in, maybe 3 weeks in. And we're having a hard time because Indonesia is not Taiwan. Indonesia has its own culture. Indonesia is very different than Taiwan. And we're finding it very hard to take our Taiwan culture and try and use it to help us adjust to the Indonesian culture. So we started prayer. Oh God, help us learn to love the Indonesians because we don't understand them. They're so different. We thought we were Asians, but these Indonesians are a different kind of Asian than we're used to. And then, I don't know if it was Sandy or myself, one of us said, we need God to give us someone who will help us understand the Indonesian culture. Brilliant strategy. Good idea. Well, we make it through about a month of Indonesia, and our language school has 4 weeks of language study and then 1 week of off where you use the language you've learned and then come back for 4 more weeks of language study, and it's sort of like this 5-week cycle every 5 weeks. So we're on our first free cycle, and we need to go visit our leaders for our organization in another city. We're in the city of Bandung, and the organization leader is in the city of Salatiga, Central Java. We're studying in the Sundanese area of Java. And so we ask all around, and we learn that the way to get to Salatiga, where we're going, is to take a bus. And in Indonesia, it's the tropics. It's blistering. You're 6 degrees south of the equator. It is basically 90 degrees every day and 99% humidity every day. It's always hot. So no one travels during the day. They always travel at night. So Sandy and I, we book a ticket on a night bus to Salatiga or Solo or whatever the town was that we were going to. And we go down around 10 p.m. at night. Maybe it was 9, maybe it was 11 p.m., sometime after dark. Because in the tropics, dark is always at the same time. 6 p.m. it gets dark, and 6 a.m. it gets light every day of the year. And so we get to the bus station, we find our bus, and we're smart. We've lived in Asia. We've lived in other parts of the world. So we've prepared a lunch, we've prepared snacks, and but we are tired. We've been stressed out more than we thought we would be, just by 3-4 weeks of language study. So we get on the bus, and all we want to do is go to sleep or relax, not do any work. Someone in the seat behind me taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hello, can I talk with you guys?" And in my mind, I'm screaming, "No! I don't want to talk with anybody. I just want to sleep. It's 10 o'clock at night. I've got to sit on this bus for the..." Okay, it gets better. It gets so much better. After he taps me on the shoulder, I've been raised in the Asian world, so I've had to learn how to use certain courtesies. So I turned around and say, "Oh, so nice to meet you. Who are you?" And he says his name is Ilik, and And he wants to know where I'm from. I said, I'm from America. And I'm very tired. I want to go to sleep. And he goes, la, 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 la. So then the next thing that happens is we have two seats by the window in the aisle. And so we open the window because it's the tropics. It's stinking hot and humid. The whole bus starts screaming, close the window. There's a tradition in the Indonesian world. It's called masuk angin. Masuk angin means the wind enters you and you die. You cannot let the wind enter you. I think it's maybe about the belly button. I'm not sure. It goes through the belly button. Maybe it goes through your head somewhere. But the wind enters you and you die. And you could feel the intensity. The driver would have stopped the bus if we had not closed the window. We had to close the window in the middle of a stinking, humid, hot night so that we would not get the night air. I don't know, some of you maybe have heard of night air. So learn this one word in Indonesian, masuk angin. The wind enters you, and you might as well call it quits. So we close the window. We're not the happiest campers in the world. Sandy and I are on the bus. We're in our first month in Indonesia. We're going to see our colleagues in another city. It's going to be a 10-hour night ride from 10 p.m. to like 10 a.m. To get to where we're going. We are so excited. No, we're not. And then the guy behind me goes, again, can I talk to you? And he's speaking English. We're brand new. We've only studied a few weeks of Indonesian. And we're thinking, oh, how nice. He speaks English. We don't want to talk to anybody. We're so tired and burned out. We don't want to talk to anybody. Ilik, if you're watching this story, please remember this was our first month in Indonesia, and we love you. So he does the Asian thing. He says, I'm sorry for disturbing you. And he apologizes for interrupting because I've made it very clear all I want to do is go to sleep. He said, I'm so sorry for interrupting. And because I've grown up in Asia and I understand the Asian culture a little bit, obviously not enough, I said, oh, sir, I'm so sorry. We're just very tired. We're new to Indonesia. We're struggling. We're just very tired. And he goes, so what are you doing here? Well, we're here as missionaries. I'm a pastor, and we're studying Indonesian. He goes, I'm a Christian. Now, you need to know this is the largest Muslim country in the world. 200 million Muslims and a few million Christians. And he goes, I'm a Christian too. And I go, oh yeah, that's what you say when you want someone to teach you English. If you want an English teacher, you tell them, I'm a Christian. Why don't you teach me English? So I'm just looking at him with one of those smiles you plaster on your face to a marketing person that is trying to sell you the latest diet fad or whatever. And he looks at me and he goes, can I show you something? And he pulls out his Navigator memorization cards. All right, this is not a joke. This is a real Christian. He's memorizing Navigator verses from the Bible and memorizing. And I said, Ilik, I am so sorry. That is wonderful. We are so glad to meet you. So we talked with him for a few minutes. Now, one of the other things in the Asian culture is you share food. So Sandy had made sandwiches for our bus trip. We'd never been on a bus in Indonesia. We had no idea what it would be like. So we felt guilty. We felt terrible how bad we had treated Ilik. And so Sandy had these two sandwiches. They were each cut in half, so we had 4 halves. Oh, let's offer him one of our sandwiches. And we give him the sandwich. We say, Ilik, can we share our supper with you? We'll just, we're about to eat our sandwiches. Why don't you eat them? He's sitting behind us, so we handed the sandwich back to him. All right. That was pretty much it for that bus ride. We did eventually fall asleep, sweating like something. And we made it to the town we were going to, and we met our colleagues. And, exchange contact information with Ilik, and we get back to Bandung where we're studying language for our second and third month of language school, and Ilik contacts us. And he said, can I come over to your house? And we said, sure, absolutely, we'd love to have you come over. And so he comes over, and he brings his two friends, Paulus and Agung. And they're all university students. They're like freshmen or sophomores at university. They're amazing young people. And for us, it's really helpful because they speak very good English. We're just beginning to learn Indonesian. So again, Asian culture, serve them some food. So they had just opened a new grocery store in our city of Bandung called Galayos. And at Galayos, they had a new ice cream shop called Swenson's Ice Cream. Some of you might even know about Swenson's Ice Cream. And we had bought Swenson's Ice Cream. And so Sandy had Swenson's Ice Cream in the refrigerator. And for these three guys, Sandy and myself, so the five of us, she filled up 5 bowls with ice cream and served it to all of us. And we're sitting there, and we're going to get to know each other now. Because on the bus, let me tell you, we didn't get to know each other very well on the bus. So the ice cream comes out. We're in a nice sitting area. The avocado tree is just outside the window. We're in the tropics eating ice cream. Could anything be better? And 20 minutes go by, and we know in the Chinese culture, you always offer over and over again, please, please help yourself, help yourself, help yourself, help yourself, help yourself, help yourself, help yourself. And they always say, no, in a little bit. These guys didn't take one bite of the ice cream. Now, Sandy and I don't remember exactly, but I think Sandy and I, we ate our ice cream. You're not going to waste that kind of ice cream. Half an hour goes by, and their 3 bowls of ice cream are puddles of melted milk ice cream. It's just a puddle. There's nothing left. And Sandy and I are looking at each other, and we think we're Asians, and we understand Asia. We have no idea what has gone wrong. So Sandy picks up the 3 bowls of theirs and our 2 bowls and clears the room and, has to throw the ice cream out. So we spend, the next few minutes with Ilik, Paulus, and Agung, just talking and learning about their life. And, one of them has a criminal record. One of them is a brilliant scholar. And I'm not sure what the third one was, but they were all interesting guys that, we'd met on a night bus going to Central Java. So to tell you the truth, we enjoyed meeting them. We had that time together. They said goodbye. And over the next few years, we got to see them regularly. Ilik actually helped us move to our working area. When we finished language school after a year, Ilik helped us move to Solo, Central Java, which was where we were going to work. And we had 1 or 2 cats, 1 cat. And we had gone to the veterinarian to get the cat given some, anti-stress pills or something so he would sleep in the car. And Ilik's parents lived in our region where we were going, about an hour from our city. And so we said, we'll drop you off at your parents' house and we'll go on to our city. And he said, fine, I'll come with you. So we're in a little station wagon. Yeah, little. It was a little packed with all our belongings from the year and everything we were going to move into, plus a cat in a basket with a medication that was supposed to make him calm and not urinate and pee in the car. It's a 12-hour trip we're going on now. And Ilik held that basket. It was not the right medication. It was a muscle relaxant that the veterinarian gave the cat. And the cat peed all night long in the basket on Ilik. We found out later, there's a lot of things we found out later, Ilik was allergic to cats. He hated cats. But for the sake of our very strange recent friendship, he treated us with such great respect. And he held the cat and helped us. And the cat was just terrorized because his mind was all there, but his muscles wouldn't work. So he just peed and pooped everywhere in our car. I think Ilik was very happy to be dropped off at his house and get home. Now I need to tell you about Ilik. He was a fine Christian man. He was an amazing gentleman. One of those guys that just has a gentle spirit and a heart of gold. He was a part of a little bit more high church kind of denomination in Indonesia. And at that church, he met a girl from his university named Lika. So you got Ilik and Lika. Well, they date for that senior year of school and they get married. And Lika's from a Chinese family. Now, in Indonesia, only 3% of the population is Chinese. But Lika's Chinese, and she's also very smart, done very well in school. And her parents are very successful business people in Bandung. And Ilik and Lika marry, and they are so happy. And Sandy and I get to come and meet Lika's parents, and because we speak Chinese, that was kind of cool. We get to have some interesting times with her mom and dad, and get to have more time with Ilik. And then Ilik comes to visit his parents in Solo, not far, actually the county of Karanganyar, just a little bit west of Solo, where his dad is the director of PE, physical education, for the county of Karanganyar. And these two guys, Ilik and his dad, are both athletes at a level that is insane. I tried to play badminton with Ilik's dad, and he tried so hard to let me win 1 point in badminton. And after about 3 games where he beat me 15-0, and even when he turned his back and he only used his racket from behind his back, I still could not get a point. If you want to play badminton, play with Indonesians. It's a contact sport. It's insane and wonderful. So Ilik's dad and mom became good friends of ours. They were neighbors. They would come over and watch our kids, Davin and Denise, when they were little babies. We just had so much fun. They became our dear friend. Do you remember the prayer I mentioned at the very beginning? God, help us learn to love this culture. Ilik and his family were the answer to that prayer. We had grown up and loved the Chinese culture. We knew Taiwan. We knew the stories of old China. We knew nothing about Indonesia. Ilik and his family were the people that taught us to love Indonesia. I don't know how they did it. They helped us see the gentle side, the intelligent side, the amazing side of the Indonesian people. So who is Ilik? His real name is Sri Widiantoro. And you better be careful. You might be hearing his name someday in the future. Sri Widiantoro graduated from ITB with an undergraduate degree. Then he got a master's degree at some school in Japan, in Japanese. Then he got a PhD in Stuttgart, Germany. Then he got a job back at ITB. And Ilik, I might not have your history exactly right, but this is the way I remember it, so live with it. Then he got a job teaching at ITB, Institute of Technology, Bandung. And then Sandy and I go off to China. We're not seeing Ilik and Lika as much. We come back and visit, and I find out Ilik is now the dean of the School of Technology in ITB. Then we come back to visit another time, and I find out Indonesia's had a crisis. In the city of Surabaya, in a county on the outskirts of Surabaya, there has been a discovery of oil. Now, Indonesia is famous for having oil, petroleum. And there's a bidding war that goes on for who gets to drill the wells to get the oil out of this new site. Now, Surabaya is just a small city of maybe 8 or 10 million people, you know. Now that's similar to China with the Chinese standard of number of people in a city. But this is a little bit out of town. It's in a provincial county area, and the bidding goes on, and this one company wins the bid. They won the bid because they basically decided to use low grade quality material, or they wouldn't use the amount of shafts. Usually there's 2 or 3 or 4 layers of shafts that protect from leakage. And somehow that got past inspection. They maybe used bribery, we don't know. And they got the contract to drill this site for oil. They started drilling. It leaked. And what happened is basically where it leaked, it created a volcano. Oh, volcanoes are not gentle things. Basically, all the villages, all the towns nearby had to be evacuated because a mountain was growing where there used to be a town and a village. And now there's this lava flow exploding all over this area. I don't know who started the suit, but somebody was mad. I would assume it was the mayors, the governors, the political leaders sued the government. Who gave this stinking company the right to destroy our whole region of our town? And so a huge lawsuit went on. And let me tell you, oil companies are not poor. They can get lawyers. They can get political leadership. They can bribe. They can do whatever they want. And so now you have this oil company trying to defend itself against the country of Indonesia. So the Justice Department of Indonesia starts a lawsuit against this company to find out if they were at fault and knew what was going on. So guess who they contact? The Justice Department of Indonesia contacts ITB, Institute of Technology Bandung, and says, who would you recommend as the best seismic petroleum geologist from your university to represent the government side of this case? And they go, well, of course, Professor Sri Widyantoro, Ilik, my friend. He has studied petroleum engineering. He studied seismology. You know why they recommended him? Now, this is just my guess. He never said this. Partly because he was a Christian and everybody else would have been smart enough to run for their lives. You do not want to go against the big petroleum companies. Ilik became the sole voice in the court case. The petroleum company had 20 lawyers at the desk arguing against Ilik. And Ilik had to prove that there was no way that that leak happened because of a seismic event in some other part of the country. It happened because of poor equipment and poor management. That he wasn't killed, I cannot believe it. How he lived through that trial and that event, I can hardly believe. At this point, Ilik had Christian friends all over the country praying for him. See, when I titled this Crazy God Stories, I can't handle them. Ilik is a guy I met on a night bus when he's a teenager at university, 19, 20 years old. And he was chosen to lead this court case. In America, if you teach at a college campus and it's a private campus, you can easily be called Professor Finn, Professor whoever, whatever your name is. In many countries of the world, and including Indonesia, you cannot be professor unless you're chosen by your colleagues in the university. You meet certain standards. That's sort of like tenure. In Indonesia, they have one other restriction. The president has to nominate you to be a professor. So somewhere in the 80s or 90s, Ilik was nominated by the president, Suharto, of Indonesia to become a professor at ITB. The last time I met Ilik, he wasn't the dean of the School of Technology. He was the provost of the university. And I said, how in a Muslim country, how in a world where it's the largest Muslim country in the world, do they let you, a Christian, become the provost, which means the president, vice president of the university, of the top school of the third or fourth largest country in the world? He says, they trust me. They trust me. Ilik, this is the story I remember about you. You say I blessed you, but you blessed me in so many ways. And I'm proud to be your friend. So, after quite a bit of time, Sandy and I finally have learned the Indonesian language. We're beginning to understand the culture. We're beginning to understand it's not like Taiwan or our Asian background. And so we had a chance to meet with Ilik and his friends, Paulus and Agung and some others. And we asked them, could you help us? We're getting ready to start our work. What is it we're not doing right in the culture? What is it that we don't understand? Any advice you can give us, any questions you have for us that would help us understand how to be better in Indonesia. Now you need to know the Indonesian culture is a very genteel, they say halus in Javanese. It means polite, extremely polite culture. And Ilik looked at Sandy and me. And you could tell he was very embarrassed. But he was also a very educated man, as you've heard from the story. And he said, I've always wanted to ask you, why did you take our ice cream away? And Sandy and I looked at each other. We knew instantly what he was talking about. It was the first time we'd had it kind of thing together with Ilik and Agog and Paulus, and we'd served them ice cream and it had melted, and Sandy cleared it, and they go, why did you take it away? And Sandy's going, it was ruined. It was just milk and water. You didn't eat the ice cream. And Ilik says, we were just about ready to eat, but in the Indonesian culture, we have to wait like 45 minutes to show that we're here to honor you, not the food. But we had that ice cream. We wanted that ice cream. Sandy and I died laughing, and Ilik and Paulus and Agung started laughing. We had so much to learn. Life is full of things we don't understand. But God is doing his work, and God is preparing his people. So God's crazy stories is about people that God is preparing, like Ilik. Maybe they'll be great in the nation of Indonesia. Maybe they'll be nothing as far as politics or power. But God is preparing people. And the crazy stories are the fact that, a bowl of ice cream at one moment means one thing to us, means something completely different to somebody else. But it's not about the ice cream. It's about what God's preparing that person to do for him. Thank you for joining me for my sharing of my great friend, Ilik Sri Widiantoro. Actually, Ilik is just the Javanese word for small. He's not small. He's a giant. Thank you.
Now I have to ask, did you get him more ice cream?
I'll forget. He was so rich by that time he'd get all the ice cream he wanted to. He takes care of me now. Let me tell you, Joshua. These three friends I'm going to talk to you about, this is only the first one. But, Ilik could call any top dignitary in Indonesia and be answered right away. I mean, he's not just Professor Doctor Ilik Sri Ruidiantoro. He's got a reputation that is unbelievable.